Hi, welcome to Lesson 2 in the series of Xaphoon lessons. If you've practiced the techniques in the first lesson, you should be able to make a relatively nice tone every time you put the instrument in your mouth. If not, then you should go back and practice Lesson 1 before continuing on with this lesson, which is about fingering. Now, if you look at the Xaphoon, you'll see that it seems to have a lot of holes. However, there are almost 3 times fewer holes than there are on a saxophone. I almost said a real saxophone, but of course the Xaphoon is a real instrument too. Most saxophone players, even professional sax players, don't even know how many holes there are on a saxophone or how many keys. I happen to know, but only because I heard it from a saxophone maker, Yanagisawa, at a musical trade fair. But saxophone players know where all those holes are subconsciously, and we're going to learn how to find the holes on the Xaphoon the same way by using our body memory. Now, I think scales are boring too, but it's the best way to get your fingers used to where the holes are. And while it'd be wonderful to be able to let your fingers fly over the holes and play your favorite tune right away, first we have to familiarize our fingers with the placement of the holes, and the best way to do that is by repetition. So what I'd like you to do is start with the C again, the index finger and the thumb of the left hand, and descend down the C scale, but rather than playing each note once, play each note about 10 times so that your finger can get used to where that hole is without looking, just by feeling. And as you cover the hole several times, you'll notice that sometimes the note's foggy, sometimes the note's not very clear, sometimes it's a bit squeaky, but gradually, by feedback, you're going to hear when your finger is placed correctly. So just go like this. Now, if your finger is improperly placed, you might sound like this. But just keep covering the hole repeatedly until it starts to sound good. And then continue down the whole scale using the same repetitive pattern of about 10 times per note. Now, while you're doing that, it helps, as I say, to close your eyes so that you concentrate on the feeling of the hole rather than looking for the hole. And whatever you do, do not take the musical instrument out of your mouth and look for the hole, and then put it back in, and then take it out and look to see if your fingers are right, and then put it back in your mouth again. Just repeat the scale several times, and after a while you'll find that your fingers just gravitate toward those holes and fit into those little valleys just like a glove. Now, as you were playing that scale, you probably noticed that the second note sounds a bit funny. That's because you were basically playing a C scale, but that second note is a B flat. We'll get to sharps and flats in the next lesson, but for now, don't worry. Just concentrate on getting used to the fingering. And you also may have noticed that I used my little finger of my right hand to balance the instrument and keep it steady until I got to where I started with the right index finger. And you might find that that helps too when you're playing the higher notes, especially to keep the instrument steady in your mouth. So practice the scale, and then with the next lesson we'll go on to sharps and flats, and then eventually on to playing songs. And remember, when you're playing, the most important thing is have fun.